Mr. John Tayer, welcome to the Boulder Bubble podcast.
It's wonderful to be here, Arbad.
John, for those that don't know, what is the Boulder Chamber and what does it do?
The Boulder Chamber is the association of businesses in Boulder. It has been actually, now we're celebrating our 120th anniversary, so has been around for us for quite some time. And its priority focus areas are three categories: member support, so helping to build business to business relations, supporting their marketing efforts, providing discounts, all of that to support business success on the individual level. Then we also are the advocacy voice for our businesses, speaking up on their behalf
Hmm.
for in front of city council, in front of our state legislators, and other political bodies, even at the federal level, representing specific business interests, but also standing up for Boulder's general economic vitality. And then the third, related to that general economic vitality, we are the economic vitality organization, or some would call it economic development organization for our community. And that work entails helping to recruit and retain businesses in our community, creating a positive business environment, and tracking the indicators of where we might need to take additional steps to keep strengthening our economy. So those are the basic functions of the Boulder Chamber.
I'd like to get into some of those things, but I mean, how much time have you spent with the chamber uh, personally?
Well, my history with the chamber dates back almost 26 years, something like that, when I first started working in the business community. I mean, I knew of the
Mm.
chamber when I was at the city of Boulder, sometimes working with the chamber and the business community generally to advocate for policies that supported city of Boulder wide interests. But when I started working at a private company, with that time it was called Roche, Colorado, part of the global Roche Corporation, I immediately reached out to the chamber to engage with them on policy issues that impacted our business, as well as generally as a major employer in Boulder, and a company that depended on a vital economy in Boulder that's supported economic interests. I wanted to make sure that the Boulder Chamber was taking positions and supporting the work of our business and the economy generally. So
So
start
how did you end up working with the chamber? I mean, in the sense that working inside it, how did that go about? So you mentioned you.
well, actually, let me just quickly say that roundabout way to say that I reached out to the chamber, just as the chambers want to do. They asked me if I wanted to be more involved with their work, and started sitting on their policy committee. Then I ended up
Hmm.
on the board of directors. I became the chair of the board of directors. So I had experience working with the chamber as a volunteer and investor in the chamber representing our company. And then 12 plus years ago, the chamber position opened up, the leadership role, and I had been very active in the Boulder community, not just having worked at the city and at a company, but also I was the elected representative for the RTD board, which is the Regional Transportation District, the transit organization. So I was somewhat familiar with a wide variety of community interests, including our business needs. And so I thought, that's a great opportunity or a great sort of profile, I would think, for somebody to lead the chamber organization. I applied. I always joke that it was about a 7-month odyssey interview because every day as I walked around Boulder or ran into folks who were somewhat associated with the chamber, they would look at me and say, is that guy the right guy for the Boulder Chamber leadership role? I don't know. So it was like an everyday thing. But it came down to uh, uh, just, I think, the relationship I had with the community and my interest and understanding of the needs of business in our community that led to my getting this position 12 years ago.
And I mean, 12 years ago, you were elected as president, I imagine, through the board. And I mean, while I was, preparing for the interview, I went through some articles online, and there's this, from whatever I found, actually, everyone sort of described you as someone that was very grounded in the people and very focused towards, extracting what you could from the people in a empathetic manner uh, to solve whatever problem you're solving. I have this quote like, "Focus on the problem, not the people." That was something
Yeah.
you said in a recent interview. What does leadership in that context mean to you? Being so grounded in a values based approach.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it it means exactly what it says, which is that the character of leadership that I respect is one that's rooted in principles that are immovable, integrity, the understanding of sort of a broad, and broader goals, not just singular short term interests. And for me, it's people will say, "Oh, you're a leader in the community." Well, for me, the best line is, "If the people lead, the leaders will follow." Kind of kind of um, uh, um, statement. And that what that means to me is that we need to understand the broader community interest, all the different perspectives as we approach the challenges that our community has, and the disruption to our economy or opportunities we want to pursue, um, field a variety of input on it and make sure that collectively we're pushing in the same direction. As a good friend of mine who I know you know, Richard Polk, often says, we want to make sure that we're all rowing in the same direction. And the way to do that and to accomplish the most sustainable solutions, you need to make sure, as a quote unquote leader, that you understand where all the interests lie and that you're, to the best extent possible, trying to build a consensus toward a particular direction.
Before I come back to talking more about the chamber, I'd like to talk to you about Boulder specifically a bit more. I saw again while I was looking through what I could online, that when you visited Boulder, I'm not sure where exactly you were living at the time, but when you did visit Boulder, almost instantaneously you were like, "Hey, I want to move here." You said something to that effect. What
Yeah.
about Boulder made it so that that was almost instant reaction that you had?
Yeah, I mean, the storyline is that I was living in Washington, D.C. I thought, gee, I need to pursue a law degree. My boss at the time in D.C. had encouraged me to apply to the University of Colorado because he had gone here. So I applied to University of Colorado, got in, and said, "Huh, I think I'll go to take that opportunity." And I visited Colorado once in high school and once in college, and remembered it well. And so I packed up all my belongings, moved to Colorado, and the way I describe it is, you know, a first year law student with all the chaos that is entails in that, and stress. But yet day 2, I'm walking in the middle of the street with, downtown Boulder, beautiful day, and I'm thinking, "You know what? I'm never leaving this place." This is this is just too nice, and just the spirit of Boulder, the beautiful surrounding environment, the nature of a community that shares many of my values in terms of environmental stewardship, social equity. Um, these are things that are important to me personally, and I just found it to be a very welcoming community that both is has a great deal of dynamism, great deal of intellectual energy and thoughtful consideration, of
Where do you think that comes from? I mean, I know that Boulder specifically, you mentioned the Colorado University as well. There's a lot of cool stuff that happens with aerospace and quantum
Yeah.
computing. At least as far as I've come across stuff online. What do you think? What drives this? What drives this spirit of uh, technological progression that seems to be embodied by a vast majority of the people, at least as far as I look at it from the outside.
Yeah. I mean, I personally, I look at the University of Colorado as a foundation for the character of Boulder,
Mm.
the types of people that are drawn to an institution that's a leading research university, but also one that drives the pursuit of intellectual discourse and creative solutions to society's problems. And I'd say that that's not unusual for a college town, but Boulder then draws in not only that kind of intellectual characteristics, but also a spirit of um, lifestyle that is
Mm.
also connected to the outdoor environment and the ease of access to outdoor recreation. To me, that mix is the perfect lifestyle character. I'll just say this, that um, it's funny, when I was at my old company, it was called Roche Colorado Corporation, and that's RCC. And the company writ large used to joke that it was the Roche Country Club because it was such a wonderful place to be. And it's somewhat of a dig at the character of Boulder as maybe a place where folks are so focused on outdoor recreation pursuits and lifestyle. But I think that's the wrong attitude. I think what you
Mm.
find here are people who are very driven, who are pursuing their occupations, their business success at a very high level, but they also know how to blow off steam in a way that's healthy for them, and to find outside pursuits that are healthy and help them to be even more successful in their work or their other business activities.
If you like what you're hearing and would like to consume more from the Boulder Bubble, I encourage you to check out the Boulder Bubble newsletter. It's a twice a week curated publication that covers the latest and greatest in AI, renewable energy, climate, and more. Depending on where you're watching this, you should find either a link in the description box above or below. And if you sign up today, you'll get 1 month for absolutely free. It's $1 a month after that. The bottom line is simply this: the real news is better, and not all is bad, as it may seem. There's been quite a few events that happened in the Boulder city. There was that recent fire in the Pearl Street Mall. Before that, I believe there was an unfortunate incident where a school shooting occurred. And during this tenure of your leadership, uh, as I understand it, there was the 2013 floods and a Marshall fire that occurred in 2021. Those times, I'm sure, were distressing to the community as a whole. And when you are at the chamber and you are the president, I would imagine that there's uh, a difference of authority that a lot of people are operating under and looking towards you to sort of articulate and understand how they should be responding to these events that are happening across the city, and of course, by consequence, affecting anything and everything from business to personal life. What would you say is, as a leader, what would you say is something, or I mean, how would you, as a leader, um, uh, describe, uh, or I mean, if you could walk me through your own sort of personal, um, uh, how you operated under these when these events happened, so that uh, they were catered to, I suppose, in the most optimum manner that one would want to. What would sort of go through your head, and what was that operation uh, an internal operation for you? Like, I know I butchered this question a bit, but I hope you understand what I mean.
Yeah, I do. So first of all, let me just be clear on what maybe the incidents you're talking about, and I'd like to think that it's not because I'm sitting in this position that we suffered all these
Hmm.
crazy
No, no, no. Yeah,
consequences.
of course,
No, no,
of course,
I'm
of
saying
course, of course, of course, of
I'm like
course.
the curse. But I literally I'm in my role for half a year, and we had these enormous floods that went through our community. We then had significant fires just to the west of us. Um, we had the of course the COVID experience that was global. We had the what you described as the shooting. It was actually not at a school. It was at our local supermarket right down the street here. Tragic, as well as then the terrible attack that was on the Pearl Street Mall that you referenced, and we also had the Marshall Fire. So I'm probably missing one or two other incidences, and so just then what's the reaction? Well, the first reaction is I'm human. All of these things affect me, and just as would anybody. So absorbing that, understanding that you know I'm I'm seeing this as others are, but then in my role, it's my responsibility to provide clear direction and facts to our community, in particular business leaders. But I'm certainly a spokesman for the wider community, recognizing that there are other leaders who take on that responsibility as well. So it's factual information, and it's also providing some vision for comfort, for direction to help not only acknowledge the pain and hurt that others are experiencing, but then to offer some solace and to suggest how we're going to move forward together to avoid these kinds of incidences, to make sure we're better prepared to avoid these types of incidents in the future, and to help address the consequences. And so it's a full on effort, recognizing with empathy that folks are suffering during these periods and are in sometimes very desperate condition. So we have to be clear in the information and accurate. We also have to align as many resources as we can toward helping to address the consequences. So that's working with other partners in the community. Collaboration is so critical, bringing people together to work as one. And then finally, in the after action, to be thinking about how do we avoid these kinds of incidences in the future and better prepare ourselves for recovery. I stumped the panel here.
Within the context of Boulder being this technology hub, um, what do you what would you say you're most excited about, especially in this fascinating time of AI, and it having this sort of tornado effect on any and all industry uh, of business. Uh, as the president of the chamber, uh, I'm sure you're having to interact with a lot of these businesses that are popping up as a consequence of AI. Um, what are some exciting projects or uh, and a bit sidestepping a bit from that, any exciting things that you're looking towards as a sort of um, as you're seeing AI develop in this manner, and AI uh, coming into business and our personal lives at the speed at which it is.
Yeah. So first of all, I see it as my responsibility as we have this AI technology revolution or evolution, not sure what you would characterize it as, that our businesses are educated on what this means for them as an
mm,
opportunity, as a tool to help advance their business success, and to help strengthen our economic vitality. So, education, helping to provide examples of how these tools are used in businesses, and then making sure that all of our businesses have access to the best AI resources. That's absolutely critical because AI is a tool like any other tool that is evolved over time. The computer, the internet that we're using, all of these are resources for our businesses to conduct their work more efficiently, to adjust their business offerings. So we want to make sure that our businesses are educated and understanding what tools are out there and that we make those available to them. So that's the first, I'd say, core responsibility. And then we also recognize that as AI becomes an element of our economic industry sector, that we want to provide the opportunity for businesses that work in the AI space to find a home in Boulder. We have uh, great research work in AI that happens just at our own university. Want to see that technology transitioned into our community as business enterprise, but also to build a community and an ecosystem around supporting the AI industry in Boulder. I'd say a third important element of our work in the AI space in particular is to make sure that we address concerns that our businesses, that our residents might have around AI technology. It's mysterious to so many. And so how do we make sure that we're standing up for the industry sector as an important tool that we need to keep advancing forward, but also address what may be perceived as excesses in the industry that we can all comfortably recognize we need to address maybe in policy and that sort of thing. So, we're active at the state legislature, for example, on the AI legislation and just making sure that anything that they would do to address some of these concerns and in many cases misperceptions, that it doesn't do anything to undermine the appropriate advancement of the industry in our state. You asked about technology, and I'll just use that as an
mm,
opportunity to recognize that Boulder is a center for another major technology advancement, and that is in the quantum field. Um,
yes.
the, the control and use of atoms, which um, is something that I am not responsibly prepared to describe. But that quantum technology, the application of it to so many industries, be it aerospace, biotech, software development, you name it, telecommunications. We are a center for that quantum technology. We were recognized as such in a competition by the United States government, and there are dollars flowing into supporting the development of that
Mm,
industry right here in Boulder, but supporting the broader Colorado, the state of Colorado, and actually the this western region. But it's centered right here in Boulder, and that's a point of pride for us, but also a responsibility for us to make sure that we are providing the connections, the business development opportunities for both the researchers who are continuing to advance quantum technology so that they can perform their science and quickly transfer that technology into business opportunities, but that also those who are already working on advancing quantum-based business enterprises, that we are supporting their success and building a broader, mutually supportive ecosystem.
So here's something that I'm interested in after hearing that, especially not only because I have somewhat of a uh, very a very close relationship with advancements in AI right now, but because I see, on the other hand, this fervor that and this uncertainty, and to an extent, I mean, it makes sense why at the governmental level why any government is concerned for speeding up any measures to regulate AI and ensure that it's safe, quote unquote. But I mean, to be honest with you, I don't even know what that means, given what the current state of AI is. Uh, Connecting that back to again your position where you're having to not only look out for businesses uh, that are uh, to how I understand it, especially in Boulder, greatly involved in the cutting edge or the research side of these technologies, and then having to also work with the regulators to ensure that this stuff doesn't get out of hand in the way that it could, and in the way that I think we as humans aren't able to accurately predict, uh, uh, given the type of or the uncertainty by which AI is developing. How do you navigate that? How do you not curb the creative spirit, if you will, when it comes to these advancements, and at the same time look at the big picture of it all and say, I gotta protect the people too.
Yeah. Well, first, I'll reflect on my previous work, which is in a chemical manufacturing facility making
Mm.
pharmaceutical grade compounds.
That
Yeah.
was Roche.
That was Roche. Yep, and it was
Yep.
they made pharmaceutical compounds through chemical synthesis. And I will say this, that what I came to understand as somebody who was not a scientist by background, but ended up working with a lot of folks in scientific and manufacturing fields, that
Mm.
their business was one that at times um, led to public concern about the safety and about the lack of understanding of what was happening behind those manufacturing walls. And what I learned, and I think is known to be true, is that first of all, responsible companies want are looking for appropriate regulation. Why? Because
So
they recognize that in order for their industry to advance, they need to A, operate safely, make sure that their workforce is safe and that the products they produce are safe for the end consumer. That's for their own individual protection. But then also they recognize that if there aren't regulations for the industry, that there will be outliers that are taking risks that are inappropriate that lead to tragic incidences, whether it be explosions or something like that, or that have direct fatalities, or products that go out into the market that have consequences. So to me, I approach the AI and any other technology regulation in the same respect. I know that our responsible companies, the leaders in the AI space, they want to have the freedom and the flexibility to advance their technology, to use it in ways that are both good for their business success, but provide useful tools for industry and for society. Um, but they also want to make sure that there are appropriate guardrails, because yeah, there are bad actors out there, people who might misuse this kind of technology, and they don't want to be tied to that. They don't want to have it lead to consequences that lead to a pendulum swing of overregulation. Um, and they also recognize that there are issues that AI might create that they want to make sure they're responsibly addressing. So it's not like uh, these industries and these technology leaders are saying no, don't no regulation. They're saying be responsible with the regulation. And so for me, I approach the policy development process on behalf of our technology companies with that philosophy that we all want to move and advance technology forward, and we want to do it in a way that's responsible but also allows for continual development and advancement in a positive way for our businesses and for the consuming public at large. So I'm maybe not I'm dancing around the the point here, but you talked about AI specifically, and I'll say that, there's there we're very sensitive to making sure that AI is something that continues to be a positive tool for our businesses to help them reduce their work that's non-productive, and to then focus their workforce and their employees on more positive, productive, additive, activities that are not AI associated. And so, I thought where you might be going with this is, AI is a tool that very likely is gonna lead to the loss of certain employment in certain sectors. And,
Yes.
it's I recognize that as somebody who is working to advance economic interests, in support of broader community goals. I wanna make sure that as we adopt AI, that we're also thinking about how do we train our workforce to use AI technology for new business purposes, that we also help to employ or train our workforce for employment in advanced technology work and in other fields that where there's need for more productive workforce allocation. So for me, yeah, AI is very exciting. We the types of things that it can replace are probably the kinds of work that listen, it's less productive, and we want to make sure that our workforce is prepared for the next generation of advanced technology, advanced manufacturing, what have you, that moves beyond the things that AI has can do for us.
So I want to probe into that a little bit more. uh, because to an extent, I think this idea, and I'm just looking at that general idea, which is a part of the mainstream conversation right now, which is the loss of jobs, is to an extent, I think, exaggerated, and to an extent, I think, somewhat ignorant of history. And I want to unpack why that is, and because if we go back 100 years, 150 years, and we go look at, what was happening during the time of the Industrial Revolution, and a bit more further into, when electricity was becoming something, at the time of Tesla, when electricity was able to be widely used, was that even during that time you had people that used to light candles and go around with the rich folk of that time, if you will, because before that, wide use was to an extent invented by Tesla. That was necessary because you didn't have light.
Yeah.
And so when electricity came about, of course, those jobs went away. But now you had people that had to manage all these grids and all these infrastructure that came with electricity. And so when I sort of look at it in that way, the same thing is happening with AI. For example, to an extent, the work that I do, we do certain kinds of AI enablement for different firms that might want to inculcate AI into their systems or workflows. That's a job that necessarily didn't exist before these recent push from LLMs came about. And so what do you make of that view? Do you think that is there something that I'm not looking, or am I sort of ignoring in terms of being a bit reductive about this mainstream view, or what do you make of all that?
Yeah. I'd say in the big picture, the arc of technology advancement, your description of how societies adapt and economic opportunity and job opportunities evolve, I think is completely accurate. And so that I share that perspective with you. I often joke that I'm a Luddite. I'm like the last person to adopt a technology, but I
There is
recognize.
the human side. Yes, there is the human side, of course. I mean, I understand that, people being fearful and people, because there will be displacement. I mean, we can, I agree with that. And, like you also talked about, quite, uh, I would say, aptly, of training and getting the workforce uh, adapted to this new technology, which will, again, not even will, is already permeating across all our lives, really. And so that fear makes sense to me. And uh,
Well, let me just say this, and not to interrupt, but there's
yes.
fear of the technology. So, when they were first replacing, uh, those candles with gas, not necessarily even electricity,
Yeah.
and handle it correctly. And actually, when they first installed electric, I think it was Graham Bell, they installed electricity in New York. There were massive fires and figured out how to adapt it appropriately. Um, so there was the fear of the technology, and that's
Sure.
somewhat you're seeing with AI. But there's also the fear of what disruptions it causes in the workforce, and
Hmm.
it's very real. It's a fact that there will be displacement. There will be jobs that are lost because of the use of the AI technology tools. And as somebody who, again, is thinking about the broader community interests in a strong economy, I have to recognize the need that folks have for um, worthwhile employment. It's something that is creates a stable social structure and strong communities, and that's the a major part of a environment that supports business success and economic vitality. You gotta have that underpinning of a community that feels that they are being served by the business development activities. And so for me, I am very focused on investments in workforce development, workforce training that helps folks who may have one of those jobs that's being replaced with to find worthwhile and rewarding employment in another field. A direct association with this is the advancements in energy technology.
Hmm. Hmm.
There are whole communities that have built themselves around coal mining and um, coal fueled power plants. It's tragic when one of those power plants closes down if you don't provide other meaningful employment opportunities for that workforce. And so we have a responsibility as an economic developer, but as a society to help support those individuals, not to stop the progress toward a better technology for society, but to help to provide that community of workforce with opportunities for rewarding employment.
John, you've spent 13 years now as the president of the chamber. And I mean, before that, as you were talking about, uh, I would say there's 7 to 10 or even more years beyond that in which you were interactive with the chamber. As I was sort of talking to you before the interview as well, I did a lot of changing when it comes to what I was doing in my professional life because to an extent, not only was I, blessed in terms of the opportunities I had, but in another sense, I just couldn't wake up 2 days in a row thinking about the same thing. You, you've spent so much time. What makes you get up in the morning and go back at it with this to what seems to me this undying energy that doesn't seem to run out?
Yeah, I wake up every day enthusiastic about how do we address challenges, seize opportunities, and build a stronger economy and community. So to me, that's what energizes me. And the unique element of the work that in here at the Boulder Chamber is that we are involved in so many aspects of what you might consider to be economic related activity. You wouldn't think homelessness is necessarily an economic development issue, but it is. We need to care for those individuals who are unhoused, but it's also uh, has a negative impact on our economy if there are folks who can't find housing except for in our public parks and in front of
Right.
our businesses. And so, that's just an example of just every day there's an issue that impacts our businesses or economy or a community, and the Boulder Chamber needs to be at the table representing the business perspective on these issues, but a business perspective that is guided toward helping to lift our community broadly. So that's what energizes me every day. There's no end of activity in Boulder. That's also what makes it exciting. Boulder is a center. It as we often say it punches way above its weight class. It's a relatively small community, but it has so much dynamism with the university, with these just amazing international recognized companies and businesses, a whole variety of industry sectors, and a public that is incredibly engaged um, in in interested in the policy issues and the direction of our community. I also have to just give a nod to the cultural elements of our community, the arts and culture activities are also such a unique element of um, our ecosystem here and support economic vitality. All of that contributes to a really dynamic environment that makes it exciting to do my job.
And I mean, besides what your responsibilities are at the chamber, because I'd like to understand John Taylor as a person more deeply through this conversation that we're having.
Should I lie,
I mean, sorry, what was that?
should I lie down like in the couch of the therapist here?
Uh, I mean, do you have any hobbies that you've had taken? Any sort of side passions besides, or your, you're energized through just your work? Because I know some people that are like that. So, I mean, which category do you fall under?
Yeah, well, since I set my alarm for 3 a.m. in the morning to get up to do work, I'd say that I'm somewhat obsessive compulsive about that, and then just enjoy and then energized enough by the work I
Yeah,
think. But
yeah,
but I
yeah.
think I'm typical of so many folks in Boulder who work hard on their business activity, but at the same time have healthy outside pursuits. Where I would say that my character plays out is I tend to be a little bit obsessive compulsive about that too. So I'm a very just big runner. I'm a big guy, big runner, but I love running. It's my
Yeah.
space to process
Mhm.
some of the things that I'm working on, and just clear my head. And it's just also something that I just love to develop my health. So I had a streak for 3 years, 3 months. And then on the third day recently, I've been injured. So I, I had to stop that daily running activity. It was 5K or more. I'm also love heading into the mountains for climbing boulders or Colorado's famous 14ers, but also skiing and um, snowshoeing back country. And then the other odd activity is I'm into a sport or game, whatever you want to call it, of disc golf, which is it's
Oh, yeah. Interesting.
Oh yeah, it's an somewhat obsession. I've got sitting right here my mini disc golf practice basket, but it's something
Okay.
that just I just enjoy getting out, traveling with my or playing with my wife and traveling around the country with discs. So those are a couple things. The last thing I'll say, just again, somewhat characteristic of my obsessive compulsiveness. I very love studying the U.S. presidents and their role in politics and society. So oftentimes travel to historic sites for presidents, read their biographies, that sort of thing, and collect political material. So there you go, a couple of goofy things, a little insights into the other side of John Tayer.
John, I don't want to put you on the spot, but uh, I'd like to ask you about a very poorly phrased, I mean, it's a poorly phrased question, but I would imagine you'll get the depth of it. What's something that from through your experience of life, not only through the chamber where you've had these wonderful opportunities as you described to navigate, you know, uh, to lead and then navigate these different facets of not only community and business. What's something that you think you'd say to the people that are growing up right now, like me, to take as sort of elderly advice, if you will, for this time that is coming? And you know, what's a sort of core area, or and that you think that we'd benefit from being more cognizant of and being more uh, responsible for?
Yeah, boy, that's a no. A, I'll try not to take offense at the characterization of me as elderly, but that whatever, however you perceive me. Um, it's interesting. I mean, there's so many elements to what how I might answer that. So I'll start with just saying that, recognizing that how I landed in this role was a very circuitous path. And it started with just my own passions and concern for society and the welfare of individuals and global interests. So for me, it just recognizing that in this day and age, it's very likely that you're not going to choose a path and that is going to set your course for the rest of your life and
Mm.
to be open to the opportunities that you create for yourself. And then that leads to the emphasis on create for yourself. Uh, my father essentially, you know, used to say, you create your own luck. It's apply yourself, commit to the work you're doing and the best results from that work, and you opportunities will find you. There are a number of folks in that you can run across, and they go at it halfway. And there's another term, but I won't use that. But halfway. And it's the people that are committed to making sure that they're producing the best results in the work that they're asked to perform, that are recognized, and it becomes a whole slew of opportunities, and or creates opportunities in front of you. So to me, that's an important thing to consider, is that your path could be circuitous like mine, in following your interests in your heart, um, but that those opportunities come to you when you apply yourself full throttle to the work in front of you. And the last thing I'd say is just, there was a piece that somebody wrote about me the other day, and it spoke to values-based leadership. And
Hmm.
I was honored that they characterize it as such. Um, but for me, the foundation is integrity. I mean, just absolutely, making sure that your word is solid. And that doesn't mean that we make mistakes and say things that we didn't realize were inaccurate, but then to correct them when you do, and acknowledge your mistakes. So integrity, absolutely, a critical value. And then empathy. Approaching people you meet, people you work with, and understanding where they're coming from as you try to work together collaboratively to solve an issue, a conflict, to move the ball forward. And those are, I'd say, values that I see as a foundation for my life, my life work. And I would urge others to similarly find their own values, not to necessarily adopt the ones I just said, but I think that those are helpful as I've um, moved forward in my career.
John, thank you so much. This has been a sort of a new facet of a type of conversation
Mhm.
for me personally.
Yeah.
Since, to be quite honest with you, I've interacted quite little with, you could say, people that are, in the type of position that you're in,
Mhm.
but a learning experience all around. But thank
Yeah.
you so much. I appreciate you taking out the time. And yeah.
Total pleasure. And Arvad, I love the relationship that you're building with Richard Polk, and the work that you're doing together. I just note that, and this is maybe a um, uh, not invited promotion for your website, but just this notion of a positive look on society, and working to make sure that, yeah, there's a lot of challenges, but we need to also recognize that our society and the world in front of us is full of opportunity. And so I love that equation, that you two are creating through your own search tool. So I'm excited to see it move forward.
Thank you, John. Thank you.
Pleasure. All right, Arbad, we'll be in touch. Take care.
All right. Thank you, John. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye bye.